When I was sick with cancer, you used to carry me to the bathroom and back.
But that's what
That's what it's
you
about.
do. You don't think twice. Love is such an overused word.
But we do love our dogs.
The love I have for you and my kids.
Sharon Osbourne didn't give a speech. She didn't recite poetry. She just stood there, a widow in black, clutching the microphone. Then, 3 trembling words, and the world froze. Not rehearsed, not polished, just raw truth from a heart that had lost its anchor. In that instant, her entire life with Ozzy collapsed into one moment of unbearable honesty. Everyone felt it. Over the next few minutes, you'll hear the moments behind that silence. The history, the heartbreak, and the hidden truths Sharon revealed without even realizing it. We'll go from their wild beginnings to the private struggles few ever saw, and finally to the confession that stunned even their closest friends. If you had to sum up a lifetime with someone in just 3 words, what would they be? Share yours below. I bet some will break hearts. It's the kind of moment that makes time freeze. A grieving widow standing before the world for the first time since her soulmate's death. Sharon Osbourne didn't open with a grand statement or a lengthy eulogy. She whispered just 3 trembling words, and somehow they carried the weight of 5 decades of love, pain, and survival. The entire crowd went silent, the air thick with raw emotion. Those words weren't scripted. They weren't polished for the press. They came straight from the kind of place only a lifelong partner could know. A heart fractured, but still beating. This was more than a tribute. It was a confession. In that moment, Sharon reminded us that grief is not tidy, and love doesn't end with death. Her voice shook, but her meaning was unshakable. Love's bond can survive the final breath. When words fail, truth still speaks. Choose truth over perfection. Always. Before those 3 words, Sharon took a pause so long you could feel the decades rushing back in her mind. She wasn't just remembering Ozzy, the rock legend. She was seeing the boyish troublemaker she met in the wild chaos of the 1970s. The man who made her laugh when she wanted to scream. The father who both frustrated and amazed their children. For Sharon, that pause held birthdays, hospital visits, sold-out tours, arguments in the kitchen at midnight, and quiet mornings when the world felt far away. It was a full marriage in a single breath. Memory is a cruel and beautiful thing. It can gift you the past, but it makes the present ache even more. Yet Sharon's pause was not weakness. It was proof. Proof that when you truly live with someone, their story fuses with yours. In loss, don't rush the silence. Sometimes, the quiet tells the whole story. Most people think of Ozzy Osbourne as the Prince of Darkness, the madman of heavy metal. But Sharon first knew him as the boy in his father's Birmingham workshop, just trying to escape a factory job and make music. They met when Sharon was barely out of her teens, fiery, fearless, and far too smart for the business sharks around her. She didn't just fall for Ozzy's voice, she fell for his spirit. Back then, neither of them imagined the decades ahead. They were just 2 kids standing at the edge of chaos. Love's strongest roots often grow in uncertain soil. Success didn't come gently for the Osbournes. Fame is a double-edged sword. It can crown you and cut you in the same motion. Sharon once said that living with Ozzy at the peak of his fame was like being married to a hurricane. Tours kept them apart, scandals tried to break them, and addictions threatened to erase everything. But she stayed. Not because it was easy, but because, as she later admitted, I couldn't imagine the world without him in it. The storms you survive together become the anchors you lean on later. Behind the cameras and magazine covers, Sharon fought battles no headline ever told. Hospital visits in the middle of the night. Interventions no one wanted to talk about. Long stretches of doubt about whether their marriage could survive. She learned early that public smiles often hide private storms. Yet she also learned the art of resilience, the quiet kind that doesn't demand applause. Strength isn't loud. Sometimes it's just showing up, again and again. In 2016, the cracks between them became headlines. Ozzy's affair nearly ended their marriage, and Sharon walked away, briefly. The world assumed it was over. But in a rare moment of vulnerability, Ozzy told her, "I can't live without you." That was the turning point. She didn't just forgive him. They rebuilt. Sharon later called it a second marriage to the same man. Love isn't always about holding on. Sometimes it's about choosing again. For Sharon, losing Ozzy isn't just losing a husband. It's losing her co-conspirator, her business partner, her sparring match, and her soft place to land. They didn't just share a home, they shared an empire, a family legacy, and a history of surviving the impossible. This loss takes all of that history and turns it into memory. The deeper the roots, the harder the fall. Toward the end of her speech, Sharon admitted something she had never said before. "I thought I'd go first." It was a startling confession, because it revealed her quiet belief that she'd be spared the pain of living without him. It's a reminder that grief can feel like a broken bargain. We can't script life's ending, but we can love fiercely while we can. If Sharon's 3 words reached you the way they reached me, hit the like button. It's the fastest way to make sure more people hear her story. Outside the venue, thousands of fans gathered with candles, flowers, and handwritten letters. Many had followed Ozzy's career for decades. Some had tattoos of his lyrics. Others brought records for Sharon to sign, just to say thank you. She later admitted those moments kept her from collapsing entirely. Shared grief can become shared strength. Jack, Kelly, and Amy each spoke privately to their mother before the memorial. Jack reminded her that Ozzy's voice still lives in every fan who hums his songs. Kelly shared how her father's stubbornness taught her to never back down. Amy, the most private of the 3, told Sharon simply, "We'll keep him alive." Family is the bridge between what was and what remains. The Osbournes weren't just a family. They became a reality TV phenomenon. Millions watched their everyday life, their fights, their laughs. Sharon once joked that they were the most dysfunctional family on TV, and proud of it. But that exposure made their bond stronger. They were unfiltered, unapologetic, and undeniably united. Transparency can build unshakable trust, if you own your truth. After the memorial, Sharon returned to their home. She later described walking into his empty chair, his untouched coffee mug, and his favorite slippers by the bed. "That's when it truly hit me," she said. Grief often waits until the crowd leaves before it strikes. Allow yourself to feel the weight. Healing starts with honesty. Close friends revealed that Ozzy's final words to Sharon were simply, "Thank you for my life. Not for the fame, not for the fortune, for the life they built together." Gratitude is the truest measure of a life well lived. Even in death, Ozzy's songs remain a soundtrack for millions. Sharon promised that his music would be celebrated, not mourned. Plans are already underway for a tribute tour featuring friends and protégés. Legacy is love that echoes. Just days after his passing, Sharon received a letter Ozzy had written years earlier, in case he died first. It wasn't legal instructions. It was a love letter, filled with jokes, confessions, and promises to wait for her at the gates. "Say the things now," Don't wait for someday. Their marriage wasn't perfect. It wasn't easy. But it was theirs. Through chaos, addiction, betrayal, illness, and fame, they remained partners. Sharon summed it up once. "We grew up together, even when we were already grown. Love is less about perfection, more about persistence. She's vowed to keep working, keep speaking, and keep living. Not in spite of Ozzy's absence, but in honor of his life. He'd hate to see me stop," she told friends. "The best tribute to someone's life is to keep living yours." 3 words started it. A lifetime explained it. And a promise will carry it forward. Sharon Osbourne's first public words since Ozzy's passing weren't meant to be poetry, but they became exactly that. Love leaves a mark that not even death can erase. Sharon's grief is personal, but her courage is universal. Her story reminds us to say the words, fight for the people we love, and never take the silence for granted. And if you think this was powerful, wait until you hear the private recording Ozzy left behind. That's next.